Hi, I'm Paul, and in today's video, we're going to explore the modal context protocol within Obsidian. We'll explore how to automate your note generation using an open source MCP server and Claude Desktop. If you're an Obsidian user looking to experiment with AI tools, this video is for you. Join me as we automate note creation in Obsidian with AI. Modal Context Protocol Overview. In today's video, we're going to be covering the Modal Context Protocol. MCP is going to allow us to use Claude Desktop to automate our note creation inside of Obsidian. And we're going to do this with some AI prompts. So how does this work? Well, we use a free MCP client called Claude Desktop, and we connect that to some free open source MCP server tools. And these MCP servers for Obsidian give us the functionality to use tools such as search, list files and vault, delete files, get file contents, patch content, and append content. And this is all done through connecting our Obsidian Vault with a REST API. So today's video is going to cover two options of setting this up with your Obsidian Vault. So option one will be an advanced setup, and this is going to install MCP Server for Obsidian using Python, UV, Claude Desktop, and the REST API community plugin. We'll also run through option two, MCP Tools, which is an easy setup, and this only requires Claude Desktop, REST API community plugin, and MCP Tools community plugin. So I'll start off with a showcase of some use cases on what functionality this can give you within Obsidian. And then we'll move on to setting up our advanced setup and our easy setup. MCP server use case examples. Here I am inside of Obsidian, and I've created an AI research vault with some automated note generation prompts. If I have a look over to the left, I have my MCP server installed. If I jump into community plugins, I've also installed MCP tools, and you can see that I've got the MCP server installed here as well. If I go ahead and open up Claude Desktop, I can see that I've got 30 MCP tools available to me. And if I left click, I can see all the MCP tools that are now available to Claude. And these are going to allow me to interact with my vault. So we can see here we've got list vault files, append content, delete files. If I click this attach from MCP, I can navigate down and see my installed MCP servers. So I've got my GitHub MCP Obsidian option 1 server. Then I have my Obsidian MCP tools option 2 server. If I go up to file and choose settings and come down to developer, I can see the two servers are running here, and we can see the arguments that they're using. I can go and edit the config, but I don't need to. So I'm going to come into Obsidian and copy my prompt here and go back to Claude Desktop and paste that prompt. And the prompt is, I would like to be motivated today. Can you create an inspirational folder in my vault to inspire me to keep going? Because I'm feeling a little bit uninspired today. So let's go ask Claude 3.7 Sonnet to interact with my Obsidian Vault. Now you'll see this prompt asking to allow access to Obsidian. So I'm just going to select allow. Now I'm not doing this on my main Obsidian Vault because it is making changes and it can read my vault. So that's why I've set up an AI research vault in order to run these examples. So you can see that Claude is going and creating an inspiration daily affirmations note in my spaces folder. It's also created a motivational quotes note in my spaces folder. It's now creating a goal tracker. It's using the create vault file tool to create a personal wins markdown note. And finally, it's created a visual inspiration note for inspirational images that I can collect and add. I'm going to select allow again. So now it's going to give me a summary of everything that it has done for me. So it's created a comprehensive inspirational folder with several motivational resources. I can see I have daily affirmations, motivational quotes, goal tracker, personal wins, inspiration for tough days, and visual inspiration. It's placed it in my spaces directory and it's ready for me to customize. So let's go have a look inside of my spaces folder. You can see I've got now a folder called inspiration. If I click on the first note, daily affirmations, I can see that I have a few daily affirmations here that I can run through for strength and perseverance, productivity and focus, self-worth and confidence. So these could be quite useful for daily affirmations. There's a little example of a goal tracker. I don't know if that would be useful or not, but it's quite nice that it's created that for me. There's a note about inspiration for tough days, because we all face difficult moments, and this is going to be an emergency toolkit. So this could be quite a nice note to customize and use. Motivational quotes. So I could go through these and see if I like any of these quotes. I could reformat them. So I quite like this one. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. The future depends on what you do today, on taking action. So there's quite a few nice quotes in there that I can read through. Let's have a look at the personal wins. Okay, so that's just a few heading twos with some examples of wins, achievements, and personal growth moments. So this could be good for like a reflection or journal. And then it hasn't downloaded any photos for my visual inspiration page, but it's just given me an example of how this might be laid out. Okay, so that's been quite interesting. So let's go back to our automated note generation prompt, and let's do our next example, which is a book research of atomic habits. So I'll just go ahead and copy this prompt that I've already pre-created, come back into my Claude Desktop, might just start a new chat and paste in the next prompt. And the next prompt is, can you create a research folder called Atomic Habits and add all the best ideas and tools from the book? I need to allow it again. I've also got a note there to make sure each note has valid YAML and links back to an index or map of content. So I'm just going to monitor what it's doing and accept any request to make changes to my AI research vault. So this time it's creating the folder Atomic Habits inside of my Spaces folder. Now, I might not want it to be in that location, but at least I know where it's being created, so I can always review it after the process has been completed. So we'll go ahead and speed up the video just so that we can skip forward a little bit. So this one's taking a little bit longer than the first one, and it's probably been about 10 minutes so far. And I've just got a message from Claude to say Claude hit the max length for the message and has paused its response. So I can hit continue to keep going, or I can just stop where it is. So let's just have a look to see what it's done so far. So if I head up to Spaces, I can see I've got a folder called Atomic Habits with the number 9. So there's 9 notes. I have my map of content in here, so I might want to move that up to my map of content. And then I can see that it's linking to all the other notes that it's created here. So we've got 4 laws of behavior change, cue, craving, response, reward. We've got identity-based habits, outcome, process, identity. There's a bit of information in there. We've got one about habit stacking, environmental design, plateau of latent potential, the 2-minute rule. When we start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do it. And we've also got a habit scorecard and implementation intentions. So we've got quite a lot of information there. So as this is a demonstration, I'm not going to continue on making more notes, but I'm pretty happy with what's being created so far. So I'm just going to go copy my topic example here. I'm going to just make a new chat and I'm going to paste in my topic example. And this one's going to be, can you create a research folder called AI and add markdown notes about the impact of artificial intelligence on the future of education? Ensure that notes follow strict YAML tag and Obsidian markdown structure. And I might change tag to tags. I'm just going to hit enter on that one. So Claude's going to ask me to create the AI folder with the Obsidian list files. So I'll say allow. Once again, it's put it in my Spaces folder under Research, then a subfolder AI. It wants to create files now, so I'm going to say yes, go create some files. Now, I don't really know why it's putting numbering before my markdown notes, besides the fact that I've got numbering on my 6 folders here. So I'm thinking it's trying to mimic my starter kit. I could probably tell it to not do that. I'll just let it go for now. So you can see it's mostly using the Obsidian. So you can see that it's using the Obsidian MCP tools in order to create these files. It's taken about 5 to 10 minutes to create my AI research structure. So it's telling me that it's got a map of content and 5 detailed topic notes. So let's go have a look in the Spaces Research AI folder. I can see 6 notes in there, and I've got a map of content as the first note. And then it's simply just linking through to all the other notes that it's created. So we'll have a look at the first one, AI and education. So it just mentions that it's increasingly being integrated into educational environments, key transformation areas, and some research statistics, and then some links to the other notes that it's created here. So we've got personalized learning AI systems, case studies, AI assessment tools, ethical considerations, and future classroom models. So it's even given us an implementation timeline here. So this may or may not be useful to me. I guess it's interesting to see what the AI creates with MCP tools. So I'm just going to copy the prompt here, jump into Claude, create a new chat, paste in my prompt. Can you create a minimalistic Obsidian vault with minimalistic templates using valid YAML and tags? Create it in a new folder called minimalistic vault and ensure that each note has valid YAML and follows Obsidian's best practices. So we'll hit enter on that one. So at least this way, it's not going to go delete any of my folders, and it just gives me another concept vault to look at. Now this might be useful if you just have an empty vault and you've connected up MCP tools and you just want to create a vault structure to start with. So we can see it's created the folder here, minimalistic vault. Now it's going to go create the essential templates. So we've got one here for our daily note. We've got a project template, a reference template. You can see that it's putting YAML in there when the file was created, and there's some templated syntax in there as well. So it's actually writing the templated code for us, which is handy. Okay, so now it's going to go create some sample notes based on what it's created. So now it's going to go create a .obsidian folder inside of my vault with an app.json file with some settings. And it's also doing my appearance settings and core plugins. Okay, so it's actually thinking that it needs to create a whole new Obsidian vault for me. This is very interesting. Now it's doing my hotkeys. I think one of the challenging things with this tool is it's kind of hard to interject whilst the AI is automating my notes, and I have to wait a little bit of time between prompts as well. So I'm looking at, 5 to 10 minutes every time I ask Claude to do something. So unless I'm really specific with my prompts, it might not give me the output that I want, but I can always revise and change it later. But depending on how much time I want to spend waiting for Claude to automate everything and then go back, review and summarize, it could be a bit of a waste of time. If I already had the information with as much detail as possible, that could save me a lot of time. Okay, so we can see here that my minimalistic vault is set up. So let's go have a look. So we've got some templates. We've got a daily note template. Well, that's interesting. It's even put emojis in there for me. Got a meeting template, a project template, a reference. There is some YAML properties here too, which is nice. That's what I asked for. So it's actually added some YAML properties in there. If I have a look at the source code, they're just static dates. So they're not actually templater snippets. So it's not going to be a dynamic template. I also don't like this. What's under here? I've got an example of daily. Okay, so it's done how it looks if you do a daily journal. An inbox, quick capture, website redesign. Okay, so this is an example of a project page, and then some references. Okay, interesting. And a README page explaining what it's created. Okay, well, that was interesting, I guess. So I guess, if you give the AI enough information, then you could come up with some interesting automations here. So I encourage you to experiment with MCP tools on a second Obsidian Vault. That's not your main Obsidian Vault, and see whether you can find a good use case for this new technology. How to set up MCP Server for Obsidian. Option 1 is going to be MCP Server for Obsidian, and this is using Marcus Funstein's MCP Server for Obsidian. And this MCP Server allows you to interact with Obsidian via the Obsidian REST API. And this is going to be an advanced setup. So we need to do a few steps here in order to get it working. So the first thing we need to do is head over to python.org/downloads and select the download Python. Your version may vary compared to mine. Once you've downloaded the installer, double click to install it and select install now. That will go install Python on your computer. While that's running and installing, you can head over to docs.astral.sh/uv and head up to installation. And I want you to copy this PowerShell script here. And then we simply just open up PowerShell on our computer and paste the command. Hit the enter key and that will go install UV. Now we need to take note of this install location as we'll need to add it to our config later. So just go ahead, highlight and copy and paste that to a notepad. Now this is optional, but you can download and install my free starter vault, or I'd recommend just using an empty vault to set this up because it is going to have access to your Obsidian files and be able to make changes to your vault. So it's best to do it in a testing environment first. I'll just select Get Now and go download the starter vault. Whilst I've gone and done that, I can see that my Python setup was successful. So I'll just close this. Then I'm going to extract my starter vault Pro to the location that I want to create my Obsidian vault. You can see here I've put it in my D drive under demo vaults. I'm just going to rename this to AI Research Vault. So now I need to open this up in Obsidian. So go ahead and open Obsidian. So just select open and navigate to where you placed that starter kit. If you want to create a new vault, just select create. I've already opened it, so I'm going to select AI Research Vault. So here's my vault that I'm going to install MCP Server on. So now I need to go get MCP Server. So I'm going to head over to Marcus Funstein's GitHub, and this will be MCP Server for Obsidian. Now there's a couple ways you can do it. You can head up to code, download the zip and place it in your vault. Or what I like to do is just copy the command here and pull it down from GitHub. So I'm going to go do that. Then I'm going to jump into PowerShell and then I'm going to navigate to the vault location. So the easiest way to do that is to hold shift, right click and copy as path, and then come back into PowerShell and change directory space, right click the mouse. And that's going to change to my demo vault AI Research Vault. And then what I want to do is I want to come back over to here and copy this command. So copy URL to my clipboard, go back into PowerShell, git clone space, paste, enter. That's going to go pull down the MCP server called MCP Obsidian to my AI Research Vault. So I can do a dir to list the directory and I can see it's listed here. If I minimize and go into my file explorer, into my AI Research Vault, I can see it's here as well. And then there are all the files. If we jump into Obsidian, we can see that we have our MCP server here. Now you don't need to place it in the Obsidian Vault, but I just like to place it in there just so I know where it is. You could put it in your toolkit if you wanted to. I'll just leave it here for the demo. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and install Claude. So head over to claude.ai/download, download and install Claude. So now that we've got Claude installed, head back into Obsidian, go down to your settings, head up to community plugins, select browse, type in REST and select the local REST API. Go ahead and install and enable the local REST API. Jump straight into the options and copy your API key and just go and paste that into a notepad as well. So now we're ready to connect Claude to Obsidian. So go click start and launch Claude. Now you'll notice nothing happens, and that's because we haven't set up the configuration yet. So to do that, what we're going to do is close Claude. Now notice on the taskbar here, Claude is still running. So we need to right click and close it here as well. And then what I want to do is I want to head back over to the GitHub and I want to scroll down. And we can see here that we've got our configuration that we need to add to Claude. So where do we find that configuration? Well, there's a couple ways of getting to it. We can navigate direct to it here on Windows. So we can highlight Control-C to copy, then Windows key R, paste, and hit OK. And that is going to open up our Claude Desktop configuration. You can see it's currently empty. Now I'm using Visual Studio Code, but you can use any code editor or notepad that you would like. So another option you can do is inside of Claude, with Claude open, we can come up to the top here and we can go under File, then over to Settings, click Developer and select Edit Config. And that's going to show the config file here. And then we can right click and open in our editor. So whatever's quickest for you. And then we need to add our configuration. So if I have a look here and scroll up, here's the configuration that we need to add. So I'm just going to copy this and then go back to our configuration and paste it in. Now we need to make a few changes here. So we need to specify where we installed UVX. We also need to add some arguments and we need to add our Obsidian environment API key. And this is going to be from our local REST API plugin. So to save time, I'm just going to paste it in and then I'll go through it with you. So the command that I'm using is my C users, the name of my user folder, .local bin where UV has been installed. Then I'm placing my Obsidian API key and I can double check that by going here and copying it and then going back into my code editor and making sure it's the correct one. Then I've got some arguments here. So I've got the location of my directory, which is listed here, and it's pointing to MCP Obsidian. So that will be different for you as well. And if you're not sure, you can just hold Shift, right click and copy as path. And then when you paste that in, it'll show you your path there. Now notice how I've got forward slashes, not backslashes. So it's important to have a forward slash there. Now I'll leave this in the video description so you can make changes to it as you would like. Make sure you hit save on that. So now we've got our config file set up for Claude. So what we want to do is close Claude, come down and force close it from our taskbar. Go ahead and launch Claude again. This time what should happen is we should see a tool icon appear with our 12 MCP tools available. And then inside there we can see all our available MCP tools. We can also attach from MCP and see our MCP Obsidian MCP server installed. So we're ready to go. I'll just copy and paste a prompt here. I'm researching MCP server for Obsidian. Can you create a research folder with the relevant markdown notes about this topic? Ensure that each note has valid YAML and follows Obsidian's best practices. And we'll just hit enter on that. So I need to allow this in order for MCP to access my vault. I'm just going to hit allow. Now it's already detected my MCP folder. So it's just going to go scan through that folder and see what I've got in there. So it's ignoring that folder and it's going to go create another folder called MCP Server Research. We can see here that it's created MCP Overview. So this is going to take a few minutes to run through. I can see that it's already created that folder up the top here. So we'll just let it run its path and we'll review what Claude has done after everything completes. So it's probably taken about 5 minutes to go do that research for me, and it's only created 5 markdown files in my vault. We can see that we have an overview, installation setup, core functionality, API reference, and Python client information. So I can just review all these markdown notes and see if they are useful to me. How to set up MCP tools in Obsidian. Let's go set up option 2, MCP Tools Easy Setup on our Windows PC. And this is also available to the public on GitHub. So if you want to go check out the source code, you can have a look at it here. So the first thing to do is to go to claude.ai/download and select Windows and install the application. I'm going to use the Obsidian Starter Vault Free as my testing vault. Extract the contents of the Obsidian Starter Vault and go and change the name to the name you would like to name the vault. I'll call this one AI Research Vault. Then we want to go and open our new vault from Obsidian. You can open folder as a vault by selecting this option. And if you've already opened it previously, then you can select it up on the left-hand side. I need to navigate down to settings, go up to community plugins, select browse, do a search for REST and select the local REST API. Go ahead and install and enable the local REST API. We'll jump into the options and we're going to copy our API key, and this will be unique for your device. So just go and copy and paste that into a notepad. Head back up to community plugins, select browse, and do a search for MCP tools by Jack Steam. And you can see a link here to the GitHub repository. So this is going to allow us to securely connect Claude Desktop to our vault with search, templates, and file management capabilities. So we'll go ahead and select install, and we need to enable MCP tools and then jump into the options. Now we can see here that MCP server is not installed, even though we've installed the plugin. So we need to go ahead and select install server. We can see at the top right that it's downloading the MCP server from the GitHub repository. There are a few dependencies here, so you can see that it's already installed the local REST API and templater. I don't have smart connections installed, and that one is optional. So it will show me what the version is up the top there. And at the time of recording, it is MCP server version 0.2.22. I can click on server install folder, and I can see that this plugin places a MCP tax server.exe file in my .obsidian plugins MCP tools folder. Now, if you don't like these sort of applications being installed on your computer, then go with the advanced option that we covered earlier. So now we have our vault set up. Let's go open up Claude. So select start and then select Claude. Now we can see here that Claude has detected 18 MCP tools available, and we can click and see all the type of tools that are available with this community plugin. So I can scroll down and see all the available tools. I can also select attach from MCP and have a look to see that my Obsidian MCP tools is installed. So now I can start interacting with my vault. So I'll just go ahead and use the same prompt that I use in my showcase. And that will be, I would like to be motivated today. Can you create me an inspirational folder in my vault to inspire me to keep going? And I'm going to submit. So I need to allow this to run. So I need to select allow for this chat. And this is going to allow Claude to go and build this for me in my Obsidian vault. We can see over to the left-hand side here that it's already created a folder called inspiration. Now this will take a little bit of time to complete. So just be patient. As I've already covered this in the showcase, I'll just skip ahead to save time in the video. So we can see that our inspirational folder has been created successfully, and Claude is telling us the 6 things that it's created. And then we can go see in our vault here that we have our daily affirmations, our goal setting guide, inspirational dashboard, motivational quotes, personal wins, and success stories. Now I like to use an empty vault in order to use MCP tools. Then I can just take the best snippets from the automation and put it into my main vault. Totally up to you if you want to connect your main vault or not, but just remember that MCP tools can read and manipulate markdown files in your vault.
And there you have it, how to automate node generation inside Obsidian with MCP Servers and Claude Desktop. I hope you've enjoyed the video and are excited to try these tools out for yourself. If you have been experimenting with MCP tools in other ways, please share your thoughts and experience in the comments below.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.